My name is Michael Eden. I'm the artist behind the Interventions exhibition here at Cheekwood. This is actually my first visit to Nashville. I live in the northwest of England. The reason I'm here is to show a range of the pieces that I've made and how they relate to the collection here at Cheekwood. You might be wondering at this early stage why they are displayed on crates. And that really goes back to the beginning of my research about Cheekwood. When the Cheek family went over to the United Kingdom to look at country houses with their architect, they bought enormous quantities of ceramics and art and room interiors and shipped them here in numerous railway carriages. And the photographs that I saw show the driveway up to the house sort of littered with open crates of the objects that they brought here. So I thought, excellent, this is a really nice sort of link. My work is being shipped over from England, like theirs was. Let's display them on these packing crates. And I've tried to arrange the work throughout the house where my pieces will relate to objects from the collection. So you've got two sort of Greek-inspired vases, along with this beautiful marble vase that was brought here in the 1920s. These pieces are actually 3D printed, so they've been designed on the computer, and here they are today. So the group of pieces in the drawing room here were inspired by the great English potter Josiah Wedgwood. If I take this piece, for example, this is based on Wedgwood's cauliflower teapots and storage jars. I've tried to bring this piece into the 21st century, but based very much on Josiah Wedgwood. He made hundreds or thousands of experiments in different glazes and clay bodies and colours and new ways of manufacturing. And because these are 3D printed, I'm employing new technology in the same way that Josiah Wedgwood was doing at the same time. And I've tried to tell not only the story about making and craft and technology, I've also tried to tell a bit of a story about art and science. The arrangement of the cauliflower, the sunflower, the snail shell are all based on a simple mathematical principle, which is known as the Fibonacci sequence or the golden section. And what I've done here, I've arranged these fractal elements in the same way as the Romanesco cauliflower does. They're arranged in the pattern of the Fibonacci sequence. And to make the leaves, these are actually Savoy cabbage leaves because they're more interesting than cauliflower leaves. And I 3D scanned a cauliflower leaf and then took that information, that data, into the computer and turned it from a sort of like a 2D map into a 3-dimensional object in the computer, and then manipulated it so it would surround these fractals. Many people ask how long it takes to make something like this. I start with an idea, inspired in this case by the cauliflower teapots. I sketch for a little while in my sketchbook, I write notes, I take photographs, and once I've got an idea, I then go to the computer and start drawing. This took weeks of creating in the computer, and then I send the data to a bureau that has very sophisticated 3D printing equipment, and they have a look at the data and they say, yep, it's okay to print, or no, you need to do more work, and eventually it can be printed. And this probably took about 24 hours to print, tiny layer at a time, from a sort of nylon powder. And once it's printed and cleaned, it can then be coloured, it can then be sprayed. And the colours are often based on historic ceramics as well. You might find this orange as a little detail in a piece of, I don't know, Royal Worcester ceramics that you can see in the same room. So, as I was saying before, the work is often inspired by historic pieces. It's often inspired by the technology of how these historic pieces were made. But it's also about how ideas were transported across the world on the trade routes and such like. And these pieces pieces are called arita, these little sort of dinky pieces. If I just very gently lift one of these little precious pieces down and bring it towards the camera, you might be able to see some of the detail. Now, these are inspired by imari ware that was made in Japan and exported from the port of Arita to the West. And when they arrived in the West, they were very popular. So, of course, the British ceramic manufacturers copied them and then re-exported them. So it's just an example of how ideas can move across the world as fashions change. This piece here, the Apollo Inverto, is a little bit different to the pieces I was showing you earlier. It's much more of a sculptural piece. It was made by taking a 3D scan of part of a sculpture of Apollo. And I wanted to create a sort of trompe-l'oeil, a trick of the eye, as it's translated for in the French. So you've got the positive face coming out, and then you've got the negative face, which is going in. And I've sort of morphed the two together. And I wanted it to resemble marble, because throughout the history of art and sculpture, one material has often been made to look like another material. So like a plaster bust would be treated to look like bronze. And you can actually see it in this room. The skirting boards in this room are genuine marble. But the column that you can see behind the sculpture here, it looks like marble, but it's a paint effect in the same way as this one is. I'm really pleased to be here at Cheekwood, and the whole team here have been really supportive from day one, and it's just wonderful being here. And the exhibition is going to run until November the 6th, and I also must thank my gallery, Adrian Sassoon London, for all their continued support. This exhibition wouldn't have happened without the great team back in London. So I'd like to thank everybody. And when it comes to the exhibition, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you sort of dig deep, not just look at my work, but look at the collection here at Cheekwood. It's very rich.